Alright, what is up everybody? This is Rance, aka Darth Lugia, and today we're going to be jumping into an unboxing of the newest hero packs from Marvel Champions. So I got both Nova and Ironheart. I am jumping in a little bit late. My local game store didn't get them until today, so I was able to pick them up today. Those of you who don't know, Marvel Champions is a living card game where you play a few different heroes and you team up with other heroes to a max of 4 players. To try and take down villains. So this is Nova. He's one of the 2 newest hero packs, and I'm going to go ahead and open them up, take a look at the cards, do a little bit of discussion of some possibilities, and let's jump into it. So fresh out the box here. Okay. That might take me a minute to get the wrapping off of that. Okay, so first we get the usual. Every one of these hero packs comes with a poster, which is always great to see the art that these guys put out. Looks awesome. And it also comes with instructions about their specific pack. So first, let's learn about Nova, a boy, a helmet, and an intergalactic legacy. Sam Alexander isn't just any 15-year-old. He's just been recruited to the Nova Corps, the universe's police force. It's his job to look after his family and his planet. Okay, and he is running the aggression archetype. So let's go ahead and open up his cards here. So I do already know, a good amount about these cards because I've been watching other gameplay. I've been looking up stuff online. So I've had some time to think about some possibilities. But this is the first time I get my actual hands on them, so I'm excited for that. Okay, so we'll go ahead and separate these. We'll get Nova. We will get the aggression cards. And then we will get his basics, his treachery, obligation cards, and finally the cards that can go into any set. Okay, so let's take a look at Nova. First, on his alter ego side, he's got 3 recovery. It says alter ego actions. Spend 1 resource of any type. Search your deck and discard pile for Supernova Helmet. Add it to your hand. Put it into play instead if you pay for this ability using a wild resource. Okay. So let's flip. Take a look at his hero side. Nova. It says response. After you use one of Nova's basic powers, ready Supernova Helmet. Okay. So let's go ahead and I think Yep, the helmet is the last card. So let's take a look at the helmet. So it's a 1-cost upgrade. And he gains the aerial traits. Exhaust Supernova Helmet, generate a wild resource. So this is exciting because you're going to be wanting to use this resource first to power up some of his abilities, and then use Nova to attack or thwart, which then allows this to reset and gives you a free extra resource. So that's kind of the crux of his game plan, at least based off of those cards. Okay, then we have Miss Marvel. This is his ally. 1 thwart, 1 attack, champion Inhuman. After you play an event, exhaust Miss Marvel and deal 1 damage to her. Return that event to your hand. Okay. So I do know that Nova has a lot of events, and they should be played cheaply. And so this is going to allow you to get those events back to your hand, play them again. So that's exciting. That's a solid combo piece. Okay, and then we have, looks like 2 copies of Force Field Projection. And it's a superpower, Hero Interrupt. When a friendly character would take any amount of damage from an attack, prevent 3 of that damage. If you pay for this card using a wild resource, deal 3 damage to an enemy. Okay, utilizing his helmet. Lightspeed Flight. 2-cost event, double the number of wild resources generated while paying for this card. Hero action thwart, remove 3 threat from a scheme. So this is where his Supernova Helmet becomes very important because it generates 1 wild resource, and if you use 1 wild resource for this card, that's all you have to pay for it. So you essentially get to spend 1, remove 3 threat, which is a very solid value. And we have 3 copies of that card. That's great. Okay, I imagine this is the partner to it. We get 3 copies as well. It's Pot Shot. 2-cost event, double the number of wild resources generated while paying for this card. So just like Lightspeed Flight. This is an attack, deal 4 damage to an enemy. So once again, this is going to be 1 for 4, which is very good value if you get to utilize it to its max potential. Okay, then we get 2 copies of Unleash Nova Force. So this is max 1 per round. Until the end of the round, each time Nova defeats an enemy or removes the last threat from a scheme, ready Nova and draw 1 card. So this one is very situational, right? Because you need to have threat to be removed. You need to have minions likely to defeat to be able to utilize this. But I think the potential of this card is very high. I think there's some really cool combos you could pull off with that. Okay, then we have 2 copies of Connection to the World Mind. Connection to the World Mind does not count toward your hand size. Oh, that is sick. Oh, that's a sweet effect. Okay, so if you draw up to 6, for your alter ego phase or whatever, and if you draw this, you get to draw an additional card. You draw 2 copies of this, you get to draw 2 additional cards to what you usually would. So that is really cool. Now that only works when you are counting your hand size. So when you start your turn, essentially, or rather when you end your turn, that's when you draw your hand size. If you draw it whenever else, then that doesn't apply. So, but still, a lot of good potential with that card. Okay, then we have his support. It's a 2-cost support. Persona, alter ego action. Exhaust Jesse Alexander, shuffle 1 copy of Connection to the World Mind from your discard pile into your deck, and then draw 1 card. Awesome. Sweet. Okay, that's Nova's main kit. So we're going to go ahead and check out the aggression cards. These can be used with any other hero who's running the aggression set. So first we have the ally, Locust. It's a champion ally, 2 cost, 1 thwart, 1 attack. Hero response: after the Locust enters play, add 1 aggression event from your discard pile to your hand. Okay, so that's great for Nova because he seems very event driven. Okay, then we have Chase Them Down. A 0-cost event. Oh, this is in the base set. 0-cost event. Response thwart: after a hero attacks and defeats an enemy, remove 2 threat from a scheme. So I never ran this much from the core set. Again, it is situational. You need to have minions to defeat, and you need to have threat to remove in order to use it. But if you have those, then it seems pretty solid. Okay, Pitchback. Play only if our identity has the aerial traits. Okay, I did know that there was some aerial support in this pack. Hero response attack. After your hero attacks, deal 4 damage to an enemy. Okay. All right, 1 for 4. That is very good. Okay. No quarter, 2-cost event. You have to use a fist resource to pay for it. And it's a hero action attack. Deal 4 damage to an enemy for each point of excess damage dealt to that enemy by this attack. Discard the top card of your deck and add each aggression card discarded this way to your hand. Okay. So that's a max of 3 cards that you would discard. Let's say the minion has 1 health. And you could potentially add 3 red cards to your hand. But that could be a little bit difficult. You'll have your 15 base cards that always come with your hero. Then if you just flooded everything else with these aggression cards, that could really make that hit a little more consistently. 3 copies of that card. Okay, then we have 1 by 1, 3 copies of this. It's an attack. Hero action, deal 2 damage to an enemy. If this attack defeats the enemy, deal 2 damage to an enemy. Okay, so again, lots of good minion killer support. 2 copies of Power of Aggression. It's a wild resource, which is great for Nova, but it is just a double resource for aggression cards. That's been in the game since day 1. Okay, Fluid Motion. This is a 1-cost upgrade. We have 3 copies of this, and it is a skill. Hero response. After you play an attack event, exhaust this card. Your hero gets +1 attack until the end of the phase. Max 1 per attack event. So you could have multiple of these in play, and you could do a couple different attack events, use them to buff up your hero so it has a higher attack. Now, Nova's stats are very low. 2-1-1 is a pretty low stat line. So you want to look for ways to increase his base stats. Okay, then we have a 3-cost upgrade, 3 copies of it. This one is called Hone Technique. You have to pay 2 tech resources for this, and you only get 1 per player. So as an interrupt, when you play an aggression attack event, if you paid for that event using a mind resource, increase the amount of damage that event deals by its printed cost. Okay, so that's cool. I don't think there's a lot of great synergy in these cards because there's not a lot of high cost attack events, right? That's 1, that's a 2, so this could deal 2 additional damage. That's 1. So yeah, not great combo piece as far as connecting with these cards, but in general, there are some great high damage aggression cards that you could utilize that with. Okay, then we just have a few basics. Let's take a look at these. Moon Girl. This one I'm very excited for. So, Lunella Lafayette, and she's riding a frickin' dinosaur, so that is awesome. She's a champion and genius. Says play only if your identity has the champion or the genius trait. Response: after you play Moon Girl from your hand, draw 1 card for each mind resource used to pay for her. So again, you want a lot of mind resources, pay for her. If you pay 3 mind resources for Moon Girl, then she's essentially free. You have to use her card, play her down, spend 3, and then you get to draw 3 if you hit with all mind resources or all wilds, which is great for Nova's deck. Okay, then we have Everyday Hero. This is a resource. While your identity has the civilian trait, this card can be spent for any player and gains the text response. After you spend this card for a player, heal 1 damage from that player's identity. So this is a wonderful combo piece. You get 3 copies of it, so that's great. Usually going to have to be in your alter ego state to use this, but you get to heal someone and pay to kind of facilitate what they got going on. So that's great, especially if you are have 1 player who is an alter ego and the second player is in hero phase. That way you get to kind of, balance things out. Then lastly, we get 1 copy of Champion's Mobile Bunker. That's a champion vehicle. Hero action: exhaust this. Choose an identity with the champion trait. The player who controls that identity may draw 2 cards and then discard 2 cards from their hand. Okay, that is also fantastic. You are punished for cycling through your deck a little bit, if you do it too quickly. You get an encounter card every time you cycle through your deck. But you still want to do it. You still want to find the cards that set up your combo pieces. So I think that's a great card to have out on the field. Great support. Okay, so this is his obligation as well as his treachery cards. So first we get Weight of the World. Give to the Sam Alexander player while this card is in play. Supernova Helmet came out ready. Oof. Okay, and then alter ego action. Exhaust Sam Alexander. Remove this obligation from the game. Yeah, that's tough because that seems to be a big part of his strategy, is having the helmet out, using those wild resources, and getting all the payback for it. So that is a crappy obligation. Okay, let's take a look at, first we'll take a look at the minion. So this is Warbringer. Very angry but cool looking dude. 1 scheme, 3 attack. Brute and Chitauri. Forced interrupt. When Warbringer attacks you, he gets +1 attack for that attack for each card with a printed wild resource in your hand. And it gains overkill. Wow. So yeah, this guy is very specific to Nova, which I like. The Nemesi should be very specific to the hero that they're trying to take down. That's a really good effect for him. Okay, let's take a look at his side scheme. This is Bring the War. When revealed, each player discards 1 card they control with a printed wild resource. For each card discarded this way, place 1 threat here. Okay. So yeah, again, I think his helmet itself is a wild resource. And so that's troublesome because you got to, get rid of that. Actually, let's go ahead and check that real quick. No, it's tech. It's a tech resource. Interesting. Okay. Well, you're going to have to discard something else, I guess. Okay, and then we have 2 copies of War Delivery. When revealed, you may spend a wild resource. If you do not, the villain and Warbringer each attack you, even if you are in alter ego form. Wow. Okay, so you cannot escape that. Boost. Place 1 threat in the main scheme for each card with a printed wild resource in your hand. Again, very specific to Nova because he wants as many wild resources as he can get. Okay. And lastly, we have the War Has Been Brought. Surge. When revealed, discard X cards from the top of the encounter deck, where X is equal to the total number of printed wild resources on cards in your hand, cards under your control, and cards in your discard pile. Wow. And it has Surge. That's ridiculous. So if this hits late, you could be discarding 10, 15, 20 cards, depending on how many wild resources you put inside your deck. That's wild. That is an intense effect. Okay. All right. But that's very interesting, though. So cool. Let's go ahead and check out these cards, which they always come with a few extra cards that can go into any set. So we start with a few Justice cards. We have 3 Yaw and Rolls. So it's a 1-cost event. Aerial Thwart. So play only if your identity has the aerial trait. Hero response thwart. After your hero thwarts, remove 3 threat from a scheme. Awesome. So very similar to Pitchback, but just a threat removal version of it. Okay. Then we have 3 copies of Height Advantage. It's a 1-cost upgrade. While your identity has the aerial trait, reduce the amount of damage you take from each enemy attack by 1. Force interrupt. When your turn begins, discard this card. Okay, so this is very specific to turns where you have a ton of minions attacking you. If you're playing against Ultron, this is a great card. If you're playing against maybe even some of the Goblin decks, some of those have a lot of minions, just decreasing the damage that you're taking from those minions. I can see that actually working as like a really good combo piece with a few decks. So cool. Okay, and then we are going into our modular encounter set. So this can be put into any villain set, and essentially it's designed to make the villain set unique, make it different from what it would usually be, and usually makes it harder. So, and I know this definitely makes it harder because this villain is ridiculous. So let's take a look at Armadillo. 1 scheme, 2 attack with 8 health. That's a very high health pool. It's a brute and an elite. So it has toughness. Armadillo can have any number of tough status cards. Dang, usually you can only have 1. Okay, force response. After Armadillo activates against you, give him a tough status card. Okay. So you cannot let this guy just stand on the field because he's going to get more and more tough status cards. So that is scary. Let's go and take a look at his side scheme. This is Armored Assault. It's a side scheme. Each enemy with tough status card gains +3 attack. Wow, so that would put him at 5 attack. That's insane. That is wild. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at this attachment, which is Rollin'. It's a condition attached to Armadillo. If Armadillo is not in play, search the encounter deck and discard pile for him, put him into play, engage with you, and attach this card to him. And that says, while Armadillo has a tough status card, characters cannot defend against his attacks. Dang, that's intense. Wow. Yeah, Armadillo's whack. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at Tough and Tumble. So when revealed in Alter Ego, each enemy with a tough status card schemes. If no enemy activated this way, it gains Surge. When revealed Hero, each enemy with a tough status card attacks you. If no enemy activated this way, this card gains Surge. So again, really focused on those tough status cards. Again, we have 2 copies of Tough It Out. This card is a treachery. When revealed, give Armadillo and the villain each a tough status card. If 1 or fewer tough status cards were given this way, this card gains Surge. If 1 or fewer. So if the villain is by himself and gets a tough status card, this still gets Surge. Wow. Okay, so Armadillo already, which is hilarious since his name is frickin' Armadillo. Seems like one of the tougher encounter sets out there. One of the tougher modular sets to put into any situation. Gosh, this is nuts. Can you imagine fighting against Thanos and you throw Armadillo in there? And he just is giving tough status cards left and right. He's getting stronger with tough status cards. He's attacking you more often. That is intense. Okay, cool. So that is our opening of the Nova Hero Pack. I'm excited to try Nova out. Seems very event heavy. You know, his stat line is nothing great, but he is all about recycling resources, play more events, get cards back to your hand from the discard pile using his Miss Marvel ally. So I am going to try out a few games with him later tonight. But that's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.